up, y'all? All right, folks. Hi. I'm glad to be coming to you showered and not in my bathrobe. I would first want to just thank all the people who have shared my videos over the last few days. This idea of putting out radical self-love lessons, and it's been exciting to see people engage and share and comment and get on board some of these ideas. I want to shout out Matt McGorry for sharing on his ginormous platform and sharing those words, and specifically the one about white terroristic violence not being a function of mental illness. And so I want to dig into this a little bit more, very specifically because my homie, I'm just calling you my homie now, the Billy Porter, asked, well, what's the solution? And I'm so glad that somebody asked that question, because the reality is, first and foremost, the reality is there isn't just one solution, right? And I think that we have to really challenge ourselves to move beyond the narrative of find the magic pill and solve it, right? Like the magic pill is linked to all kinds of ills in our society, right? The idea that there is one solution and when we find that, we'll be good. There isn't one solution. The reality is that we need a kaleidoscope of efforts and energy and focus in order to solve these issues. But here are the few things that I think help us get there. So first of all, I Talk in the Body is not an apology about the reality that social change and personal change, personal transformation is a thinking, doing, being process, right? The first, we have to actually get conscious about what it is that's happening around us and what it is that's happening inside of us. And then from that space of conscientiousness, from that space of awareness, we actually have access to choice and agency. Choice and agency are not possible when our behaviors are hidden, when our motivations are hidden, right? From that place, we just operate off the default. And so what I'm proposing from a radical self-love perspective is that our default is disconnection, supremacy, and externalized validation in a sense of self-worth. That is the default, right? And so the way in which we interrupt the default is by bringing that idea to consciousness. Once we start actually being able to consciously see where we are operating from the default, both in an interpersonal perspective and from a social, political, and economic perspective, then we actually are at some choice, right? And so what's happening right now, I believe collectively, is that we are raising human consciousness, right? That actually we are starting to see that which has been the default functioning of this society since its creation, right? The default function is supremacy, domination, power over, right? Rather than power with or power within. Greed, right? These systems, the systems of capitalism, the systems of patriarchy, the systems of ableism and white supremacy, and its manifestation as a global system of racism. Those systems are coming to our consciousness. They have been how we have all operated. What I say in the book and keep saying again is that we all have been indoctrinated into these systems and we live them individually. And consequently, we create edifices externally that are a representation of what we've built internally, right? And so here's what we got to do. We got to be doing this on multiple levels. Adrienne Maree Brown said yesterday, I think I was listening to a podcast or something, there isn't one answer. So there isn't one answer. There is multiple levels that we have to be operating on. So I'm proposing, my proposal has always been, the work of radical self-love has always been that we first must investigate the ways in which we are deeply indoctrinated into the system, while at the same time looking at the external ways that that system manifests. So here's some practical things you can do today, right? We all know now, right, that there is a gun lobby in this U.S. and that gun lobby answers to, that the politicians, particularly on the right side, answer to that gun lobby. Actually, I know so many of us feel disaffected and not interested. The reality is you have to move out of office people who are aligned with the gun lobby. If whoever it is in your state is aligned with the gun lobbyists, we have to, en masse, through the function of organizing, vote those people out of office. But here's what I'm offering is that will not solve the issue, because there are already bazillions of people who have guns right now, right? And so that's where the internal part comes in. That is the, where am I and where are the people around me invested in an externalized experience of their value and worth in the world? Where am I still plugged into this? Where do I see my friends and loved ones still plugged into assigning their sense of worth and value on this planet and externalized things? Where am I practicing power over rather than power in, power from within? Where am I operating from individualism rather than collectiveness, right? And where do I see this happening? And how do I continue on a daily basis to bring that default way of operating into focus, into awareness, and then choose daily to operate from a different lens? And how do I allow that to govern the work that I do in the world, the people I associate with in the world, the things that I see happening that I don't speak on, that I don't say nothing about, but I know that that's a manifestation of that happening? Where are those things? And how do I start dealing with that, right? If you have white men in your life, and this is one of the reasons that I ride for Matt McGorry, is that if you have white men in your life, this message, and it's not just white men, let me be clear. I always push back when I get, when I get people, particularly white people in my feeds who are like, don't include me, I'm not a white male. And I'm like, let me be clear that this is a function of global white domination that has lots of different pieces in it that all play their part. So you're moving into the gentrified neighborhood, white person, and surrounding your life with whiteness while pushing out people of color is part of the same system. It's not different. So you are included. And so part of the work is to look for where you are included, because you're included. But so the work is to see how you are complicit in this system, and then to charge others with the same axis of privilege that you have to also begin to do that work. White men have to be working with white men. Y'all got to call these white men in. These middle of the road white men who are like, I would never do that, but still have hella violent ideas. You got to call them in. You got to have a conversation with them. You have to challenge them every single time it comes up. You have to be starting groups. You have to be, those are all the things that have to be happening. And I think we have to resist the idea that this is going to be some quick overnight thing. Even gun laws based on right now where we are in this system will take a long time to change because America is reticent. It's reticent towards change. It's calcified in its systems of domination. It's really committed to its project, right? And so, first of all, let us relinquish the idea that this is going to happen quick. It won't. But we can be doing our part collectively to build critical mass. That's the work, is about how we build critical mass to hit a tipping point, right? And so, to Billy Porter, thanks for asking that question. I believe that the framework of radical self-love is one of the frameworks that get us there. I believe that Adrienne Marie's Emergent Strategies is one of the frameworks that get us there. I believe that Charlene Carruthers' unapologetic queer black feminist perspective towards liberation gets us there. I believe that the historical works of Audre Lorde and June Jordan and the Gombahi River Collective get us there, right? But it's going to be a long road. But the problem is half of us ain't on it at all. And so let's start by, where am I on this road? How do I look at my positionality in this system? If we assume we are all complicit, then we can assume we all have a role to play. I think that's part of it. Get the book. I'm going to keep telling y'all to get the book because I really do try to lay out how we get there, and get all those other people that I talked about too, because they all have a piece of puzzle to how we get forward. Let's get free, y'all. Radical self-love for life. Peace.